What's happening, everyone? Yeah, this video is going to be a bit closer to the last one. Last one I kind of threw together really quickly. It was a pretty hectic day, but I want to get some video of us at the farmers market. Yeah, when there's so much going on, it's hard to kind of stop and think, oh, I should take a video. And yeah, it slipped my mind a few times, but we did good. And hopefully we'll get more content from those markets as we get more experience and as we have more stuff going on as well. So today, just over my shoulder, you might be able to see some plants starting going in the garden. We got our soil delivered yesterday. I posted it on a story on Facebook of the soil getting delivered. Yeah, so this morning was filling the last beds up that needed filled. We used some grow bags too. There's a couple down here over my shoulder behind this wheelbarrow. Yeah, we've got a few grow bags, so we're filling that with soil this morning, and then this afternoon it's pretty hot, so the kids and Tori are taking a quick break, but we've been putting plants in, and I guess I'll show you around what we've been doing. So like I said, grow bags, we've got 25 grow bags. They're quite effective for peppers, we find. Previously we've grown in there quite a lot. These are like little spike mats, plastic spike mats, because I think we have a raccoon digging in there. I think I've mentioned that in my previous videos. We're still trying to get that figured out. So Tori's been planting. This is our summer squash. There is some fennel with cucumbers over this quickly, and then here, really excited about this. This is kiwanis, jelly melons, African cucumbers, I believe they're all called. Very interesting fruit. Looking forward to getting some of that. Very prolific, apparently. So that's all been planted today. And then spin around. Ooh. So I've been putting in, these are our cayenne peppers. These aren't in the ground yet. It's too hot to fully transplant, so I've just been digging out little holes to fit them in. Which I can show you in a second. I'll transplant some. We got Scotch Bonnets coming up next, so I'll show you how exactly I do that using this bulb digger. Okay, so over here we have, looks like a few pumpkin and a few watermelon plants just in this little planter right here. We have a lot more of those plants, but I guess we're just going with a few in this one for now. Probably get a couple in the ground as well. Some of those look like they're not 100% healthy, but I reckon they'll do okay, and the rest are looking really good. This area is kind of by our back patio, and it doesn't look the best. We had some breeze blocks lining, and this is our lemon balm, which again, that's just in a breeze block, and it's just gone nuts. Planted it last year. It didn't go too crazy last year, but this year it's just come back in complete abundance, and this stuff smells absolutely amazing. So yeah, we're going to find some uses for that soon, hopefully. Here's a lot of the plants waiting to get put out. There's Kimbo, he wants his lettuce. This is leftover lettuce here, which we've been feeding to the chickens. This was our rack, which we were using to harden off our plants, and we've got them all sorted out into groups. Peppers, more different squash. This is okra. Yeah, and then these are all our different types of peppers. There's more pumpkin, like I said, I think. No, that's watermelon. That's the watermelon right there. Yeah, and then here's all our different pepper plants all sorted out. We don't have like crazy amounts of the super hots. They tend to be quite prolific, and obviously there's not a huge market. Not too many people like to turn up the heat, so to speak, but we have, these are all bell peppers, very mild, well known obviously. This is like a tapas pepper plant over here, looking forward for that. And then this one here in the middle it's like a hybrid of a cayenne, which was bred by a gentleman out of Louisiana, so those are quite unique peppers, and we're looking forward to those coming in. In fact, maybe if I can get in quite close, you can see we've got some putting flowers out. Some have actually already been pollinated, so we'll be getting peppers from those plants pretty soon, which is really quite early on in the summer. So next step is to get these Scotch bonnets out. Okay, these ducks, go ducks. Okay, sorry about the lighting, but yeah, the sun's pretty high. These ducks might be over there honking in the background. They just stopped me from filming as I put the first pepper in because they're just non-stop yelling at me. Ducks are hungry, hungry, hungry creatures. Hungry, hungry hippos, more like hungry, hungry ducks. Anyway, so what I'm doing now is I am putting these plants in the ground. Basically where we have this in-ground bed that we laid out last year with weed cloth, landscaping fabric, weed barrier, whatever you want to call it. We can't go in with a regular trowel to transplant these peppers, so let me show you what I'm doing really quick. I'll spin the camera around and try and do a transplant one-handed, but this tough clay is pretty difficult, so we'll see how far I can get. Yep, gals, thanks gals. Right, so there's the demon ducks that won't leave me alone. Too greedy. Okay, so here's the cayennes. There's the first Scotch bonnet, Jamaican Scotch bonnet. As I said, where we had this weed cloth put in, and I've burnt these holes. Yeah, like I said, this is a great weed barrier. Obviously, apart from where the weeds come through the holes, but those are really easy to pull out. So a regular trowel won't work when doing these transplants. So I have this, which is used for putting bulbs in the ground. Just cheap from Walmart. And essentially all I'm doing is shoving it in. Normally I'd use 2 hands and put my full obese weight behind it to get down into the clay, and then pull it out, leaves a hole, and then just dumping the clay into the bucket. Now it just turns out that we are using these plastic cups right here. Let me just pull one out of the ground. We're using these plastic cups, which we, plastic's not the best obviously, but we do plan on reusing these. It is food grade, so it's safe as well. And these plastic cups allow us, it might be hard to see on camera, but we can check on the root structure. We can see if things are getting too root bound, as they're slightly translucent. And it just so happens that the cups fit perfectly down into, as you can see with this one and with this one, the cups fit perfectly down into the holes that this bulb digger makes. So it's a bit laborious digging through the clay. That one dig is not going to be enough to get a whole cup in. So yeah, like I said, I've been using 2 hands and really trying to grind out this clay, which we did amend, and it has softened up compared to everywhere else. You can look at the ducks for a second. It's taken me a hot minute, but I'm getting there. We have 100+ pepper plants. They're not all going to go in the ground. So far there's 14 cayennes in the ground, and we have 13 Scotch bonnets. So yeah, I'm kind of getting into the groove of digging these out. Let me get these in the ground, and then we'll see where we are later in the day. So apologies for the close-up of my butt cheeks towards the end of that hyperlapse, time-lapse. It didn't take me as long to put this row in as it did to put in the first row of cayennes. I've kind of got into the groove a bit. There was a few spots that I found kind of difficult. Let me pick this back up. So yeah, the clay is really quite tough. This is a great tool for the job, but it's where it's on the cheaper end. Even though it's quite good quality metal, it's still bent up from the clay. I have amended it, as I mentioned, with gypsum, which helps break down the chemical bonds in clay, and that's noticeable in the top few inches of the soil compared to the rest of the property. But where we've not been on this land too long, we've not had that much time to put in a lot of effort to the soil, which if we could, we would. Another benefit of putting this plastic down, I didn't really mention it earlier when I showed you the plastic, is it should help biodiversity in the soil. So where it stops the lawn coming up and it breaks up that root mat underneath the ground of grass, it should help worms and other small insects that live under the ground, invertebrates that live under the ground. And I found a few. I've not found any bad bugs, but I found some good bugs under there as I've been digging in, so that's really good. We're making progress, but yeah, heat of the day, too hot for a redhead, too hot to properly transplant these, so we're going to leave those in their cups until either this evening or tomorrow morning, where they're in the nightshade family. They just can't really cope with the heat, and we don't want to give them transplant shock because they're doing so well for us. So I'll show you this row. I'll give you a glimpse of my cheerleaders again. They've been over there yelling at me, they're still yelling at me. I guess Kimbo up the hill obviously wants to get involved too now that the camera's rolling. So let me show you where I've got to. So these smaller bushy ones, they're the Scotch Bonnets that we put in. Quite a common pepper in Europe, in the UK. I'm quite familiar with them. Obviously originating from the Caribbean. There's the clay. It's unbelievable. Yeah, so we're really excited by these peppers. Cayennes, however you pronounce it. Obviously they're well known, quite hot pepper. Scotch Bonnets, similar to the habaneros that you find over here in the US, but maybe a bit more spicy. They're a really good pepper. And as I've mentioned previously in posts online, really it was a search for some specific peppers, Scotch Bonnets being one of them, that led us to gardening. So really happy to get those in. And then here are the girls, non-stop. We're gonna have to figure something out with that bed. They like to wander all over it. They don't eat the plants, but they do like to get up in that bed. The metal beds are a bit too tall, and unless they're chasing something or are running away from me, they won't really get into those beds. We've got some snap peas in that bed, that's still doing okay. And the rest of the beds we're still planning on what to put in them. But yeah, these girls have been yelling at me non-stop. They like to eat. They've got comfortable enough to where we can feed them from our hands as well now, so I wonder if I go up close, if I can. No, they're just going to run away. They're all molting as well. Where it's the summer season, they should be hopefully laying eggs soon. This is kind of off topic, I suppose, but at the same time it's a good update. You see all the feathers all over the ground. We get so many swallows and other birds picking these feathers up. Obviously these feathers used to be used in, well, still are used to some extent in bedding and in pillows. They like to flap their wings, that's them trying to shed these feathers. And that one's preening itself right there. So hopefully we'll be getting eggs soon. We are almost certain that we have one male. You can't pick him out right now. Oh, it's this one right here in the middle of those three preening himself. Yeah, almost certain that he's a male because he's got a little drake feather. He's just got a split in his tail and one feather that curls up slightly. Well, actually multiple. But yeah, so that's the girls. And that's the peppers. Here's the rest of the bed. I'll get to it. Over here we have some lettuce already, and then there's some beans waiting to be trellised. But a lot to come. I'll give a further update probably towards the end of getting all these plants done this evening. Alright guys, later in the evening, there's Pedro still sleeping on the roof because he's lonely. Ducks are honking because they know what's about to happen. So I managed to get 2 full rows in with Tori's help. She was transplanting out of the cups as I was still putting plants in. Here's some tomatoes. They are Gardener's Delight cherry tomatoes, which I will put in onto this trellis. Yeah, we've got a few spots where the beans haven't germinated, so yeah, as I mentioned, Tori got all that done earlier. over there. We got a couple rows in, and then now this evening it's now 8:30. Most of the chickens up there are asleep. We got a few of the greedy guts still getting some last minute bugs. Chicks must be up. Normally the chicks will go up into their roosting bars, and that's when Pedro decides that he needs to jump up onto the roof and settle down. You can see him roosted. He's hunkered down, like he's basically laying down. Now I'll show you the wild goose chase, for want of a better terminology. That is putting the ducks to sleep. Okay, so the chickens are pretty good at putting themselves to bed, and I have read, this is where we keep a screwdriver for these latches, pretty handy. Anyway, the chickens are really good at putting themselves to bed, and I've read that you're supposed to be able to train ducks to go to sleep, go to roost, or well, not roost, but go up at night, supposedly. But ducks don't like to. I feel like they would sleep outside if they could, or night. But we can't be having that because we've got raccoons, and not that we've ever had coyotes near too close. I've heard them close enough to be able to hear them, obviously. I've seen a red fox as well. Anyway, so now begins the wild goose chase. They're quite easy to herd. At least they used to be a lot easier. Sometimes it's a one and done, one shot, and they go straight in. But sometimes they like to give me the runaround. So today it seems like they're not really wanting to go to bed because I'm having to get quite close before they even move. But also they're getting more comfortable with me. I have to raise my voice, so that makes it a bit more difficult to push them around. Come on, girls. You know the drill. No, see, always going on that bed. That plank over there is very much a lifesaver. Otherwise, I would be doing laps of their pen. But I put that fence panel there, and that kind of funnels them in. And there you go. In they go. That's them for the evening. Good night, girls. There you go. Nice and easy. Close this latch now, because it is just a storage shed. They might sound distressed, but they're definitely not. Yeah, and that's them settled in. Pedro, good night. Now I just have to go and shut these chickens up. I think they're still hanging out, so I'll probably let the dog out and then I'll put them to bed. But that's just a quick update on where we got to with the garden, and I figured at the same time I might as well show you yeah, part of the nightly routine and getting the ducks to sleep.